Hello friends, this is Dr. P.R. Chaudhary from KKV College of Agriculture, Nasik, and this is our second lecture on methods of preservation. In this lecture, we will be studying about permanent methods of preservation. This topic is covered under the course Principles of Food Science and Nutrition, course number FST 362. In our previous video, we have already studied the temporary methods of preservation such as asepsis, low temperature storage, exclusion of moisture or drying dehydration methods, use of mild antiseptics like salt, sugar, and pasteurization. In today's lecture, we will cover the different permanent methods of preservation which include sterilization, use of chemical preservatives, antiseptics, by method of fermentation, irradiation, carbonation, filtration, or antibiotics. Let us first study sterilization. Sterilization is complete elimination or destruction of all the forms of microbial life, including their spores. Sterilization is used principally to prevent spoilage of food and other substances and to prevent the transmission of diseases by destroying microbes. These diseases can be harmful to both humans as well as animals. Sterilization can be classified into two types, hot sterilization and cold sterilization. Microorganisms can be killed either by physical agents such as heat and irradiation or by chemical substances. Under hot sterilization, it is further classified into two types, dry sterilization and moist heat sterilization. Hot sterilization is the most common method of sterilizing food, hospital supplies, and many other substances. Either moist heat, that is hot water or steam, or dry heat can be used depending on the nature of the substance to be sterilized. Moist heat is also used in pasteurization, which is not considered as a true sterilization technique. Under cold sterilization, chemicals can be used to sterilize food items. Example, ethylene oxide is used to sterilize food. Filtration sterilization is another method in which physical removal of microorganisms from liquids by filtering through materials having relatively small pores is achieved. Sterilization by filtration is employed with liquids that may be affected by heat. Also, there are many kinds of radiation which are lethal not only to microorganisms but to other forms of life. These radiation include both high energy particles as well as portions of electromagnetic spectrum. Now let us quickly go through the differences between pasteurization and sterilization. Pasteurization is a temporary method of preservation, whereas sterilization is a permanent method of preservation. Pasteurization includes heating the food to specific temperature for specific period of time to reduce the microbial growth, whereas in sterilization, complete elimination of microbial growth and spores is achieved by different methods. Pasteurization, usually the liquid is heated to temperature below the boiling point of water, that is 100 degrees Celsius, and then it is quickly cooled. In sterilization, you can use heat as well as different chemicals to kill all types of bacteria. There are two major types of pasteurization. One is high temperature short time pasteurization and ultra high temperature processing or ultra high temperature pasteurization. In addition, there is another method, low temperature long time pasteurization. In sterilization, you have heat sterilization, you can use irradiation, chemicals as well as high pressure. Usually, as the food is not heated above 100 degrees Celsius, in pasteurization, the taste of food remains the same, whereas in sterilization, taste of food can be altered. Pasteurization eliminates only some microbial bacteria whereas all types of microbial growth including bacteria, fungi, viruses are eliminated under sterilization. You can use pasteurization for liquids as well as food items, whereas sterilization is used in food industry along with medical and cleaning industry. So in this slide we will be studying preservation by high temperature, which includes dry heat sterilization and moist heat sterilization. Usually after sterilization, products are sealed to prevent entry of the microorganisms from outside. And the temperature and the time required for sterilization will depend upon the type of the product. Both dry heat and moist heat is used to sterilize. However, there is difference between the two. In dry heat, usually dry air of high temperature is used, whereas in moist heat, you will be using low temperature and high pressure of water. Dry heat takes more time as compared to moist heat sterilization. Example, we can see here in dry heat sterilization, you have your Bunsen burner where directly you will be using a flame to sterilize your equipment. Whereas autoclave is the example of your moist heat sterilization. It will use steam as well as pressure to sterilize the equipment. Let us further understand the differences between dry heat and steam sterilization or moist heat sterilization. As we know, dry heat uses dry air usually at higher temperature and takes longer time. Example, you have to heat it for 170 degrees Celsius for 30 minutes or 160 degrees Celsius for 60 minutes. Whereas in moist heat sterilization, usually moist heat under pressure in a chamber is used and lower temperature is applied for a shorter duration of period. Example, 121 to 134 degrees Celsius heat is applied for 10 to 30 minutes. Since here pressure is used, therefore you can lower the temperature and reduce the time. Dry heat uses the mechanism of oxidation to destroy the microorganisms or incineration or direct burning. Whereas in steam sterilization, microorganisms are destroyed mainly by the process of coagulation and denaturation of proteins and enzymes. You can use dry heat for heat stable materials which are non-liquid and usually which are at the risk of corrosion. Because if you are having a corrosive material, you cannot use it under steam or moist heat sterilization. Whereas under steam sterilization, you can use the material which are heat sensitive, that means which cannot stand high temperature and which are flammable. Example is your dry oven or incineration, that means direct burning, or for steam sterilization you have the example of boiling water. This we have seen in our house also, especially for small kids. Usually their milk bottles or their utensils are usually sterilized in boiling water. Next we have preservation by use of chemical preservatives. Chemical preservatives are usually substances which are added to food just to retard, inhibit or arrest the activity of microorganisms such as fermentation, acidification and decomposition of the food. According to the Indian food laws, the preservatives are classified into two classes, class 1 and class 2 preservatives. Class 1 preservatives are broadly include naturally occurring substances and there is no maximum limit specified under the law for their use. Most common examples are common salt, sugar, dextrose, glucose syrup, spices, vinegar or acetic acid, edible vegetable oil, etc. Whereas class 2 preservatives are chemical substances which are added to the food. They usually include benzoic acid and its salts, sulfur dioxide and the salts of sulfuric acid, nitrates, ascorbic acid and its salts, sorbates, etc. In fruit and vegetable products, generally sulfuric acid and its salts, benzoic acid and its salts, and sorbic acid and its salts are used. Class 2 preservatives, usually being chemical substances, they have maximum limit beyond which they should not be present in food items. Let us quickly go through the food additives. What are the different types of food additives used in processing? Food additives are generally substances or mixture of substances other than basic food stuff which are added to food in order to maintain or improve its safety, freshness, taste, texture or appearance. This was also given as an assignment for you students. So there are different types of or groups of food additives usually in a processed food product, and the certain number range or codes are given for the food additives so that it becomes easy to understand which food additive has been added in the product. Example, number range from 100 to 199 is assigned for different types of food colors. Example, 131 code is for patent blue wheat color and 173 is for aluminium color. Various preservatives have been assigned the code 200 to 299. Example, your 200 code is given for sorbic acid while 234 is for niacin. Antioxidants to prevent oxidation of products are used in food items and the code given to them is 300 to 399. Example, your ascorbic acid or vitamin C has the code of 300. There are different thickeners, emulsifiers and stabilizers also added which have the code 400 to 499. Example, agar has the code of 406. Similarly, there are acidity regulator, flavor enhancers, sweeteners, etc. and they have their own coding system. Let us quickly study the class 1 preservatives which was already covered in the temporary methods of preservation. Sugar acts as a preservative by osmosis and not as a true poison for microorganisms. It absorbs most of the available water, so little water is available for the growth of microorganisms. Whereas salt acts by osmosis as well as acting as poison for the microorganisms. Salt inhibits enzymatic browning and discoloration and it also acts as antioxidant. Usually, it causes high osmotic pressure resulting in plasmolysis of microbial cells. It also helps in dehydrating food and microorganism by tying up the moisture. It ionizes to yield chloride ion which is harmful to the microorganism. Plus it reduces the solubility of oxygen in water. The third class 1 preservative is acids. Addition of acids usually impart their characteristic flavor and taste to the final food product. They adjust the sugar and acid ratio in the food to balance the flavor of the food. They also play important role in controlling the pectin gel formation. There are different types of acid, mainly acetic acid which is present in vinegar and citric acid which is present in lime juice or citrus fruits are used. Acetic acid, it is commonly used in pickles, chutney, sauce, ketchup. It inhibits the growth of microorganisms. Usually vinegar typically contains 5 to 8% acetic acid by volume. Vinegar is a derived word from French word which means sour wine. So when you apply oxygen, it converts ethanol in the wine to acetic acid. Usually there are different types of vinegar such as white distilled vinegar, apple cider, balsamic vinegar, red wine vinegar and white wine vinegar. Next is the citric acid. Citric acid is naturally found in various citrus fruits. It is commonly used in carbonated drinks and as an acidifier for food. it is less effective at controlling the growth of yeast and mold than other acids. It is also used for preparation of jam, jelly, squash, nectar, etc. The last class 1 preservative is your vegetable oil. Usually, a layer of oil on the surface of any food produces anaerobic conditions which prevent the growth of molds and yeast. Therefore, in the Indian type of pickles, usually oil layer is required on top of the container. Next we have class 2 preservatives, which include your potassium metabisulfate, sorbates. So in this, sulfur dioxide gas and sodium or potassium sulfite, bisulfite or metabisulfite are the most common forms used for preservation. Potassium metabisulfite is commonly used as a stable source of sulfur dioxide. When it is added to fruit juice, it reacts with the acid in the juice, forming potassium salt and sulfur dioxide. And the sulfur dioxide formed will react with the water present in juice and form sulfurous acid. Usually potassium metabisulfate releases sulfur dioxide, and it is used for fruits which have non-water soluble pigments. Example, like your tomato, your watermelon. So the fruits which don't contain anthocyanin or water soluble color, for those fruits you can use your potassium metabisulfate. It cannot be used for any naturally colored juices such as falsa, jamun, pomegranate because of their anthocyanin pigment. It cannot be used in the product which is packed in container because it will act on the tin containers and with the oil, releasing hydrogen sulfide. Hydrogen sulfide usually has unpleasant smell and forms a black compound with the base of the tin containers. Sulfur dioxide has a better preservative action, usually against bacteria and mold, as compared to sodium benzoate. And commonly 350 ppm of potassium metabisulfate is mostly used in the fruit juice products. Next we have sodium benzoate. Benzoic acid in the form of sodium benzoate is widely used in food preservative, and it is suitable for acid foods. Benzoic acid is often used in combination with sorbic acid. It usually delays the fermentation in juices, and it is commonly used for fruits which have natural color, that is anthocyanin pigment. Usually it is more effective against yeast, and 750 ppm of sodium benzoate concentration is used for most of the fruit juices, squash or cordials. Sorbic acid and potassium sorbate are used to inhibit growth of molds and yeast. The activity of sorbic acid usually increases as the pH decreases. Sorbic acid and its salts are tasteless and odorless when they are used at level below 0.3%. Commonly, 50 to 500 ppm of sorbic acid is used depending on the type of the product. Fermentation is one of the old method of preservation. In fermentation, decomposition of carbohydrates by microorganisms or enzymes is achieved. So in this process, carbohydrates like starch, sugar are transformed into alcohol and carbon dioxide, or organic acids such as lactic acid, acetic acid, through yeast, bacteria or combination of the two. Foods are usually preserved by the alcohol or organic acid formed by microbial action. The keeping quality of alcoholic beverages, vinegars, fermented pickles depend on the presence of alcohol, acetic acid and lactic acid respectively. Meaning in vinegar the amount of acetic acid present usually will determine the keeping quality. Most common examples of fermented products are wine, beer, vinegar, fermented drinks, fermented pickles, and even the snack items like idli, dhokla, bread, etc. In wines, usually 14% alcohol will act as a preservative, and in vinegar, 2% acetic acid usually prevents spoilage of many food products. Here you can see glucose, that is carbohydrate, will be broken down into pyruvic acid, which is used as a substrate by different microorganisms. Example, you have Propionibacterium, which will produce carbon dioxide and propionic acid, and it is used for preparing Swiss cheese. Aspergillus, Lactobacillus, Streptococcus will produce lactic acid, and commonly products obtained are cheddar cheese, yogurt, that is your curd, and soy sauce. Saccharomyces, that is your yeast, is commonly used for production of wine, beer, etc. In Clostridium is used for obtaining acetone or isopropanol, which we commonly use in nail polish remover or rubbing alcohol. Escherichia and Acetobacter are used for preparation of acetic acid, which is present in your vinegar. The next method of preservation is by irradiation. Food irradiation is a technology that improves the safety and extends the shelf life of food by reducing or eliminating microorganisms and insects. It usually applies ionizing radiation to food. There are different types of radiations used. Example, electron beam radiation, gamma rays, and X-rays. During this procedure, the food is exposed to doses of ionizing energy or radiation. Usually at low doses, irradiation extends product shelf life, whereas at high doses, it kills insects, molds, bacteria, and any other potentially harmful microorganism. When gamma rays or electron beam pass through the food, they will collide with the ionizing radiation and the food particles at atomic and molecular level. So there will be collision occurring between the ionizing radiation and the food particles, and this will result in production of ion pairs and free radicals. The reaction of these products among themselves and with other molecules will result in a physical and chemical change in the fruit, which will inactivate the microorganism present in the food. Thus, irradiation of food can be considered to be a method of cold sterilization, that is, food will be free from microorganisms without high temperature treatment. Low dose irradiation, that is less than 2 kg, is used to delay sprouting in vegetables and aging of fruits or senescence. Medium dose between 1 to 10 kg is used to reduce the level of pathogenic organisms, which is similar to pasteurization, whereas high dose, that is more than 10 kg, is used to achieve sterility or complete sterilization of the product. There are three sources of radiations which are approved for use in foods: gamma radiation, electron beam, and X-rays. Gamma radiation require a nuclear reactor for generation, whereas E-beam and X-ray radiation are generated using electron beam accelerator. Gamma rays are emitted from radioactive forms of elements like cobalt and cesium. They are used routinely to sterilize medical, dental, and household products, and it is also used for radiation treatment of cancer. X-rays are produced by reflecting a high energy stream of electrons of a target substance, usually one of the heavy metals, and this is the stream of electrons is passed through food. X-rays are also widely used in medicine industry and to produce images of the internal structure. We are all of us are familiar with what X-rays are. And third type is electron beam or E-beam. It is similar to X-rays and is a stream of high energy electrons propelled from an electron accelerator into the food. So usually gamma radiation sterilization is the most popular form of radiation sterilization. Gamma rays are highly penetrating and they can kill contaminating microorganisms. Gamma-based radiation has been deemed safe and effective by number of government and public health agencies including FAO, United Nations and World Health Organization. Sterilization can alternately be accomplished by using electron beam irradiation. High energy electrons capable of including biological damage are generated by electron beam accelerators. Gamma irradiation and E-beam irradiation differ in sample penetration depth, exposure time required for effective sterilization, and product compatibility. Because the penetration ability of electrons is lower than that of gamma rays, E-beam sterilization is limited in application to lower density or smaller products. However, E-beam sterilization can use higher dosages and shorter treatment times, that is seconds versus minute or hours, as compared to gamma radiation. Therefore, it allows higher throughput and reduces negative effects on the treated products. In terms of cost also, E-beam sterilization is almost equal or less expensive than gamma sterilization. And last we have X-rays, which is used for sterilization, and they can be more penetrating than either gamma rays or electron beam rays. Of the radiation techniques, X-ray achieves highest dose uniformity ratio, that is the ratio between maximum and minimum dose required for sterilization. Highest dose uniformity ratio measures the range of doses which are delivered to the product, and it is important to optimize the irradiation materials in order to minimize degradation. There are various advantages of using radiation which we'll discuss in the next slide. The first and foremost advantage is terminal processing. Because of the penetration depth of ionizing radiation, products can be processed in their fully sealed and final packaging. This limits the risk of contamination following sterilization. Next is cold method or temperature independence. Because temperature increases during treatment is minimal, therefore this is also called as the cold method. Also, radiation does not depend on heat and is efficient at both ambient temperature as well as sub-zero temperature. That means radiation can be used even in temperate regions and it is not dependent on temperature. Third is chemical independence. No volatile or toxic chemicals are needed for this method. In case of X-ray or E-beam radiation, no end products required for disposal are generated during the procedure. There is no residue on the products left after radiation. Also, radiation provides flexibility, and sterilized product of any phase, example gas, liquid, solid, can be used. Products with variable density, size or thickness, homogeneous or heterogeneous systems, any type of product can be used for irradiation. And any temperature and any pressure can be utilized for irradiation. E-beam sterilization is very time efficient and can be completed within seconds to minutes. And last one is sterility assurance level. That means after irradiation, less than 1 out of million microorganisms will survive. Also, in addition, it is very easy and only one single variable you have to focus on, that is exposure dose and time. for how much time you want to do the radiation. So there is ease in application. In addition, there are other benefits or uses, such as irradiation can be used for inhibiting sprouts in root vegetables. It can be used for controlling infestation or insect attack in stored cereals. It can be used to increase shelf life of meat products and also fruits and vegetables by reducing the senescence. It will reduce the spoilage organism, that is your sterilization of the perishable foods. It will delay ripening of fruits and vegetables. In addition, it can also be used as a quarantine treatment specifically for the fruits or vegetables which are exported to other countries. However, there are few disadvantages of this method also. First is instrumentation. Capital cost is very high and specialized facilities are usually required for radiation. Product degradation can occur. Radiation based methods are not compatible with all materials and they can cause breakdown of packaging material or product. Also, high energies involved in electron beam can lead to main chain scission and chemical breaking of the food product. It can change the taste of the product. And last one is the radioactive material, because in case of gamma radiation, ionizing source usually is a radioactive material and it will require special handling and disposal. The next method of preservation is filtration. In filtration, complete removal of microorganisms is achieved and it is commonly used for clear liquids. The liquid is filtered through a previously sterilized bacteria-proof filter which is made of sintered glass, diatomaceous earth, unglazed porcelain, membrane pads or similar material, and the liquid is forced down through by positive or negative pressure. The filter will usually block the microorganisms and will allow only water to pass through or juice to percolate through with or without pressure. This method is commonly used in fruit juices, beer, soft drink, wine and water. Another method of preservation is by carbonation. Carbonation is the process of dissolving sufficient carbon dioxide in water or beverage so that the product when served gives off the gas as fine bubbles and has a characteristic taste. Fruit juice beverages are generally bottled with carbon dioxide content with varying from 1 to 8 gram per liter, and this is usually sufficient for supplementing the effect of acidity on pathogenic bacteria. For complete inhibition of microbial activity, you will require 14.6 gram of carbon dioxide per liter, and this will create an anaerobic condition which reduces the oxidation of ascorbic acid as well as prevents browning also. Although carbonated beverages contain sugar much below 66%, the absence of air and the presence of carbon dioxide in them help to prevent the growth of molds and yeast. The keeping quality of carbonated fruit beverages is enhanced by adding sodium benzoate. The level of carbonation required will vary according to the type of fruit juice and type of flavor. And the last method of permanent preservation is by using antibiotics. Certain metabolic products of microorganisms have been found to have germicidal effect and they are usually termed as antibiotics. Bacteriocins are antibacterial proteins produced by bacteria that kill or inhibit the growth of other bacteria. Many lactic acid bacteria usually produce high diversity of different bacteriocins. the main effect of antibiotics on bacterial cells is they will disrupt the cell wall synthesis, they will inhibit RNA synthesis and DNA replication, and also inhibit the protein synthesis. So mainly there are three types of antibiotics commonly used in food. First is niacin. It is produced by Streptococcus lactis and it is commonly found in milk, curd, cheese and other fermented milk products. It is non-toxic and used in food industry especially for preservation of acid foods in which it is more stable. It is used for canning of mushrooms, tomatoes and milk products. Subtilin is an antibiotic obtained from certain strains of Bacillus subtilis and is used in preservation of asparagus, corn and peas. It is most effective against gram-positive bacteria and spore-forming organisms. And the last antibiotic is pimericin, which is an antifungal antibiotic and can be used for treating fruits and fruit juices. So we have covered the permanent method of preservation today. Thank you.